UFC Fight Week is finally here, so let's kick off this extravaganza of content. You're not going to believe the amount of content I'm going to be putting out this week, boys. Let's get it all out of the way, leading off with what might be the most important fight for UFC 300. Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. I know it's not the one that you think might be the most important, but trust me, boys, it is. This one has got title implications coming up. All right, I'm playing a little bit, but I am intrigued by this fight. You know, it might not be the most important one, but it's certainly not the worst one on the card. I am intrigued about this one, though. Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling, right? Aljamain Sterling sort of trying to reinvent himself, coming up to a new weight class. Calvin Kattar, we love Calvin Kattar in my household, not just because he's a Massachusetts boy and my missus is from Massachusetts, and if we don't support anyone from Patriot land, we don't get the Sunday morning good stuff. It's not just because of that. It's because I love a good striker in this house. Someone who is willing to stand and bang in the phone booth. And Calvin Kattar, I mean, let's face it, from the Max Holloway fight, right, to fighting Giga Chikadze, to Josh Emmett, the kid has just faced an absolute murderer's row from the Bostonian himself. And I love that. It's amazing. The Arnold Allen fight as well. It's just been hard fights for Calvin Kattar, and he's got a rock hard mindset. And I love a hard man who's willing to stand there and bang it out. Anyway, having said that, Calvin Kattar also has extremely good takedown defense, and we're talking about him versus Aljamain Sterling, right? But here's the thing: he might have extremely good takedown defense, but against Aljamain Sterling for 15 minutes, he's going to need phenomenal takedown defense. Aljamain Sterling, let's talk about him, right? We know him, we love him, we hate him, we love him again, okay? There's something very weird about him, isn't there? And I think it all stems from his style going up to getting his shot at the title, the way that he won the title, like a European soccer fan, crying for the referees to do something about it, right? And then getting handed wins by TJ Dillashaw, like TJ Dillashaw, literally, trying to rip his own elbow out of his socket to hand Aljamain Sterling the win. Crazy. Then there was that extremely close fight with Henry Cejudo that it sort of felt like the judges just gave him. He copped so much hate during his entire title run, you know, and to the point where the fans disliked him so much that he chose to stand in the cage and try and stand-up fight with Sean O'Malley. He tried to stand with Sean O'Malley. What the fuck was he thinking? Sorry, mate. Sorry, brother. Sorry. Oh, trying to stand up with Sean O'Malley when you're Aljamain Sterling. What an idiot. I mean, respect Aljo, but what an idiot. Anyway, what's sad about that is he did that because of the lack of the lack of a bump he was getting from the fans. Like, Aljamain Sterling clearly felt the fans' reaction to him, and he never got the respect that he deserved for taking that Sean O'Malley fight on relatively short notice. You know, not like Chris Curtis coming to fight at the Apex short notice, but for a champion, a 6-week turnaround is short notice, right? And he did that for us, the fans, to give us a fun fight. He also stood there with Sean O'Malley for us, the fans, to give us a fun fight. So you've got to have like a level of respect for Aljamain Sterling for doing that, right? And then it all comes down to Aljamain Sterling's mindset when it comes to him versus Calvin Kattar, because here's the thing. What lost him the belt? It was his mindset. It was how he looked at the game overall and how he wanted the fans to react to him. So he ended up going in there and standing with Sean O'Malley and not shooting a single takedown. His mindset is going to determine the way that this fight plays out, because does he have the skills to beat Calvin Kattar? He does. He does. Calvin Kattar has very good takedown defense, but how good is his takedown defense going to be against someone like Aljamain Sterling? And also, Calvin Kattar's knees are going to be, like, how healed up can they possibly be, right? 15 minutes on bad knees against one of the best grapplers in the entire roster, right? Whose last name doesn't end in Hamazajubeb. It seems to be, when you look at this fight overall, this fight really does seem like it's going to be over when Aljamain Sterling decides that it's going to be over, okay? Whether or not he wants to make another title run in a division is going to be proven on this night. It's going to be proven in this fight. If he chooses to backpack ride his way to a win He can absolutely do it, and he can take that style all the way up to a title in another division. But here is the tricky thing that I don't know if Aljamain Sterling has considered, and I do not know if many fans have considered. He could accidentally or purposefully make himself the next Bilal Muhammad. Now, what do I mean by that? Aljamain Sterling is a phenomenal grappler, but we are now in the UFC TKO era, where it does not matter what your credentials are. It matters how much you are projected to sell, and that is whether or not you're going to get a shot at a title. If Aljamain Sterling tries to backpack ride in a new division, beats Calvin Kattar on UFC 300 via boring decision, and then goes to his next fight and wins that via boring decision, the UFC already know the kind of numbers that he sells when he headlines a card. The UFC already knows how much he moves the needle when he is a champion. Why would they give him a shot at a title if all he is going to do is backpack ride and be boring, right? So, Aljamain Sterling, do you want to win fights or do you want to be a champion? If you want to win this fight against Calvin Kattar, shoot the takedown, stand in the pocket, pull a Charles Oliveira, wait till he knocks you down, and then wait till he jumps on top, and then roll around, take the back mount, and just hold him down. And hold down your next opponent, and hold down your next opponent after that. Then you and Bilal Muhammad can hold down opponents until you guys get too fucking old to ever fight for a title. Go nuts. But the UFC will never give Aljamain Sterling another shot at a title if he bores the fans one more time. Which means, Aljamain Sterling, if you want to win a UFC title ever again in your life, you need to stand and bang with Calvin Kattar. And here's the funny thing. Can Aljamain Sterling beat Calvin Kattar on the feet? No. No, he can't. He's got a less than 10% chance of beating Calvin Kattar on the feet. So this fight comes down to, does Aljamain Sterling want to win this fight against Calvin Kattar, or does he ever want to try and be a UFC champion again? We're going to find out at UFC 300. If he chooses to take it to the ground, Aljamain Sterling wins. If he chooses to not throw a single takedown again, Calvin Kattar wins. That's the way I see this fight going. If you wanted me to call this fight on the technicality, on the skills of MMA, if these were two blank canvas NPCs and the way that MMA works, Aljamain Sterling should be able to win this fight. But as two human beings entering the cage at UFC 300, I don't know which way this fight's going to go. It depends what mood Aljamain Sterling is in on the day. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, put it down in the comments. How do you think that this fight is going to go? And of course, hit that subscribe button so that I can see you all in the next one.